we haven't had Mike on for a while, so I wanted to get his thoughts on Steve Angeli, the four-star quarterback from New Jersey. These first clips I will show, because I always like to show some stuff that people haven't seen, which isn't just his huddle tape, is this workout practice footage from last September. It was right before the start of his shortened junior season in New Jersey. So, watching him here, watching him on tape, which we will pop on his tape here in a minute. Just what do you see from Steve Angeli? Like, what do you think about him, especially when you take into context, some of Notre Dame's other quarterbacks here recently?
So here's my notes. I put escapability. I said he's a quarterback, right? So he's not necessarily even I wouldn't like categorically refer to him as a dual threat. Mike, he's a quarterback first. He's a willing athlete. He does have some escapability. He's a sufficient athlete.
Yeah.
I've says makes a ton of throws from a dirty pocket, which is absolutely true. Makes a ton of cross-body throws, which is kind of a no-no, but there's often times where he's forced out to his left, like the clip you just seen there. Forced out to his left, and he's able to flip his hips around. That's an interesting thing. I put here hip snap. It's a new age way of delivering the ball. And then I put thoracic flexibility, Mike. Thoracic flexibility. So I'm watching.
That Notre Dame degree. I don't know
Uh,
what that means.
so I'm watching, I forget what it was, some sort of quarterback breakdown, something probably from leading into the NFL draft. Yes, it was a breakdown. It was Trent Dilfer, who people have mixed feelings about Trent Dilfer, but it's Trent Dilfer breaking down Trevor Lawrence's throwing motion. And he was saying he has like limited thoracic flexibility. So what does he mean by that? And I'm not a quarterback guru, but I understand biomechanics. Like when you watch Steve throw a ball, it's almost, I'm sure we've got a lot of golfers that read and listen will view this kind of that hip snap. So his left hip moves before the ball comes. And that's how they're teaching kids to throw a ball now. And the reason that they're doing that is the pockets are becoming more and more condensed. Pass rushers are getting better and better. And it basically condenses his body to be able to still throw a ball. So you can't step into a throw. You just snap that hip. And he does that really, really well. And he spins the ball well. Like I'd love to shake his hand. Just watching him throw a ball, it seems like he's got massive paws. But I like him a lot. He's from Bergen Catholic, where another ex-teammate of mine, Matt Lavecchio, who's actually started for Notre Dame
Mm-hmm.
in this is 2000, 2000, started as a true freshman coming out of Bergen. So they play good football out there, well coached, good kids. So yeah, just a sneaky athlete, probably not the sexiest kid in the world. I wish he was 6'4". He's not, but just a really sturdy kid. And it's an interesting conversation, Mike, to get into like the quarterbacks that Brian Kelly seems to target or kind of look for. And nobody's ever told me this. This is, or anything even close to this. It's just my own kind of observations. I feel like the quarterbacks that he targets, the personality profile probably matters as much as the physical ability does. So in terms of like a lack of an ego, I don't know if Brian Kelly wants a 5-star kid like it's, one of these kids that come off of QB1 where he's got his own Netflix show. I don't think Brian Kelly wants that. I think he wants kids that have humility, kind of quiet leaders. Just kind of watching Angeli play, he strikes me as one of those types of guys. But yeah, he can absolutely throw the ball. He's accurate, and he seems like confident. When you watch, if we get to the game film, like his actual cut ups, he's throwing from some disgusting pockets, if you even want to call it a pocket, and he's calm. Like you don't see a lot of anxiety. You'll see him get through his progressions, keeps his eyes downfield. He's a very calm player. We saw from Ian Book at times, he looked like as if he was a little bit uptight and had a little bit of play anxiety. He was just afraid to let that ball go. I don't know if that's going to be the case with this kid. Because there's a lot like that play right there is, again, he's a sneaky athlete. But as you continue to watch this, he's got a nasty pocket that he's forced to throw out of, and he manages to keep his composure. So this will be interesting. I mean, I know I'm not the best QB analyst. You know, nobody thought Ian Book was going to get drafted, Mike, but um,
Fourth round.
this kid could play. This kid
So
could play. Yeah, to me too, Mike. This is kind of fun. Me personally, I don't want like I love to talk about the NFL. Justin Fields ran a 4.41, right? Goes to the Bears. I don't want my quarterback running a 4.41. Personally, I want him to be athletic enough to pick up 6 yards if he needs to, kind of like Book would do at times, just sneak out when he has to. But I want my quarterback to be a quarterback first and an athlete second, and that's what you're getting here. Sorry, Mike, I cut you off.
no, good stuff. I probably should have been taking notes because I have a lot of things I want to say on the height. He was just at a rivals camp, and he checked in at 74.5 inches. So he's 6'2.5".
Okay.
His dad is 6'7", and I've met his dad a couple times. His dad's a big dude. So Steve's kind of still got a little baby face in him. So I think he
Sure
might
does.
he might have an extra little growth in there.
And it could just be the red shoes, Mike. Listen to us. How silly are we? It could just be the red Ronald McDonald shoes on this film.
Does he
But
have
as I
red
was watching, I was
shoes?
like, but I'm like, this kid's got like size 16 feet. Like his feet look
Oh, there's the
massive on
red.
film.
There's the red. Yeah, I love
His
this
feet,
throw
like,
right here. By the way, I love that.
that's a hard throw to make.
They had to
And
move
he
that
makes it
pocket
look,
out all year. So,
yeah, yeah.
um, another thing, there's a kid every year, that I just always kind of latch on, and I'm like, I'm just biased. Like I just really like the kid and the family. Last year's at tight end came Barong. This year it's Angeli. I just love Steve Angeli. I love his film. I love his family. I mean, look, this is what I say about this kid. I completely 100% agree with you on I want my quarterback to, have some mobility, but not always turn to it or be run first. Like that's not what I want. I want a big quarterback. He's 6'2.5" already, 210 pounds. Everyone loves Tyler Buckner. Buckner is 6'1", 197. So he's already bigger than Tyler Buckner. Of course, he doesn't run like Tyler Buckner. No, not really many people do. But he's big. He's going to be playing in a lot of cold weather. That's a Colin Cowherd thing. I gotta lie. I can't lie. Like, Cowherd loves his big quarterbacks in the weather and in cold weather. I do too. I love his mechanics, how well he throws on the run. He's got some really sneaky, good athleticism. A very good basketball player who actually grew up playing basketball.
I love
Multi-sport
to hear it.
guy. Here's my one concern. I've literally told this to Steve face to face is my one concern is when you watch him running for his life, does he start, and if it happens again this year, so then it's 2 years back to back of him running for his life all the time, does he start, if he gets to Notre Dame, does he start bailing out of the pocket too early, have happy feet, like we saw with Ian Book? Would that be a concern for you at all, Mike, if he starts to get in a habit of not trusting his offensive line? Because we saw Book do that during his career.
No, it's a valid concern, and it's pretty astute of you. And that's you talked about bad habits with Agu and
Yep.
Anye, right? Like so that they're kind of raw, whatever. But and I know how intently these coaches watch whether it's Notre Dame or whether it's Ohio State, like when they're breaking down a recruit's film, they watch it over and over and over again. So this is probably the third time I'm seeing Angeli's film. For as many times as he needs to just vacate and try and do what he can with his feet, again, the eyes stay downfield. And there's a couple times you'll see Mike, he takes shots. Like he's letting that ball go and he's getting crushed right as the ball's going. Um, and that's the stuff that you love to see. So if anything, I think honestly, Mike, could probably be the converse of what you're suggesting, that he's going to have happy feet and he's going to want to take off. If this is what he's been the sandbox he's been playing with playing in the last 2-3 years, if he can get these Notre Dame offensive lines, which traditionally in the very recent history have been tremendous,
Sure.
he might be more comfortable than ever. And then he could just, because there's a difference between being an athlete back there playing quarterback that has like um, just gonna Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, you name it, just take off and run. And then there's escapability where he can slide within the pocket, and that's what you rather see. So he does a lot of that.
Yeah.
The more film you watch of, I know he's not the highest ranked guy, and he's not a yeah, 5-star type kid that everybody frankly lusts after as Notre Dame fans do. But the more and more you watch his tape, Mike, and I agree with you, I'm a fan of his. Buckner's so fun to watch because he's so electric, and gosh dang, man, he looks like a running back when he carries the ball, and he made so many like just absurd throws.
Yeah.
We're just like, but I had a coach, ironically, Mike, Kent Bear, my old defensive coordinator. I talked to him on the phone yesterday. He's a defensive coordinator at Montana. But Coach Bear told me, he said, consistency is the truest measure of performance. And I've repeated that dozens of times over the course of my life. So, like, this kid's a consistent quarterback, throws the ball from the pocket consistently. Whereas Buckner's crazy exciting to watch and super fun. But there's a lot of money on the line. College football is a big business, and you've got to develop a coach's trust, where a kid that plays the quarterback position like Angeli does, mark my words, I mean, that's really going to earn a coach's trust and keep a coach's trust quicker than some of these wow plays from Buckner, right? So Buckner's going to have to get to the point where he gets consistent and earns trust, but hopefully that makes sense, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. My quick closing thoughts on Angeli. Sure. This is his first year starting. That Catholic ball in New Jersey. I think there's a lot of politics why he didn't start as a sophomore. He had offers from Ohio State and Penn State and was the backup quarterback. Stuck it out there, didn't transfer. A lot of kids transfer. Angeli didn't transfer, waited his turn, and he started 6 games in his high school career, his junior season. They only had 6 games. So his best football is ahead of him. The other thing is, you mentioned Kelly kind of in the traits in a quarterback. As I'm kind of thinking about it, man, he's had some quarterbacks with some, part of my language, shit to them, Book had some shit to him, Kaiser, some of these guys. Maybe not Kaiser, but, the Zaire kid, Angeli.
Reese had a lot of moxie as a player.
Angeli is the kind of your traditional like quarterback face. Russell Wilson, Tom Brady says a lot without saying a ton, kind of thing. But like very good leadership skills, great recruiter, helping out Reese on the trail. Like, he's to me, he's Drew Pine, and I've said this, he's Drew Pine, but a couple inches taller, 3 inches taller. Like I loved everything about Drew Pine's leadership, his mechanics, how he plays the game, but Drew's 5'11 and a half. To me, Steve Angeli is Drew Pine, but 3 inches taller.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're talking about he had to sit as a kid that's got some Division I offers, and he's sitting. Yeah, that's character. And I'm just telling you, like, I watch this kid hang in the pocket and get smoked as he's delivering a ball, and just the poise that he seems to play with. Yeah, those are things that you need, not even that you look for, Mike, but that you need at the quarterback position. So I'm glad we have him.
Yeah. Well, Mike, this was fun. We'll have to do this again soon. Talk some more Notre Dame Cruton.
That's what we do, dude.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in, watching, listening, wherever you are, however you're listening, making us a part of your day. We appreciate you. I'm Mike Singer. He's Mike Goolsby. You guys have a great rest of your day.